Okay, so I've got all my round stock. This is the big mast. I'm going to do it last, but you got these 5 spars. So I've got them cut out, and they're square and tapered. Okay.
Square.
So somebody mentioned on one of the videos I watched, the Spar Marking Gauge, not sold in stores. And so I started hunting around for Spar Marking Gauge, and it's a little confusing. It's kind of interesting, but it's a little confusing. But basically, here's what you need to do. Right now I have a square. All my spars are square and they're tapered. And what I want to do is I want to knock these corners off. So as I knock these corners off, I want to make sure that this distance from here to here is the same as this distance from here to here. So when I get done, I have a chance of hopefully making the thing round. So because after that, then I'll go 16-sided and I'll knock that off of each one. But anyway, if these weren't tapered, if they were just a square piece of wood and you wanted to knock these corners off, well, you could just take your gauge and set whatever that is and mark it, and then it would be fine. And you could figure that out, figure it once, mark them, and you'd be good. But they're tapered, and that makes it more difficult. You'd have to do some really fancy layout. I don't even know how you'd do it. I mean, I guess you could do it at each station or whatever and then try to connect the lines, but it would be pretty miserable. So a Spar Marking Gauge is, here's what I come up with. Basically, the Spar Marking Gauge works because of Pythagorean's theorem. Okay, and it's the right angle triangle, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. You've probably all heard that. Here's what it means. If this dimension is 3 inches, this dimension is 4 inches, a squared, say this is a side, b side, and c side. Okay? So if you take the area that this would encompass, 3 times 3 is 9. This is 4, so if you squared that, 4 times 4 is 16. You add those together, it's 25. Well, C will be 5 times, this will be 5 then, and this will be 25. So you see how that works. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. That's the area of a triangle. Okay? So you do the same thing here. Here's your right angle triangle. You take this distance, and you square it, and you square this one, and then you find the square root, and it tells you this distance, which you want it to be the same as this. So I did that. 1 3/4 inches from the edge of this pen to the center of the pencil, and you take, it's the square root of 2, 1.414. We used it all the time in pipe fitting. If you had an offset on a piece of pipe, and you needed to know how long this piece of pipe needed to be, and well, you just imagine a right angle triangle, and you measure your vertical distance, and you go the same distance this way, and you can figure a squared plus b squared equals c squared. It's very easy. So anyway, square root of 2. So what I did was, I took 1 3/4 inches. If you take 1 3/4, multiply it by 1.414, you get 2.5, and I got the same. So that relationship is fixed on this spar gauge, okay? So now, as I travel down the tapered spar, when the spar gets smaller, the pencils get closer together. As the spar gets fatter, they get farther apart. And no matter what the diameter, or how far across that spar is, these pencils will stay in that same relationship and will mark out lines down the whole tapered surface, where when I knock these corners off, everywhere that I get down to that line, these 2 dimensions will be the same. Now, I know I probably explained that terribly, and there's probably a lot better explanations you can find, but so I'll mark one out and let you see how it works. So here we have a tapered spar. This is the bumpkin on the back of my Caledonia Yawl. It's the thing that attaches to the back seat, sticks out the back of the boat, and it's what the mizzen sail sheets do. Because the mizzen is so far back in the boat, the place that it's sheeted is, well, this is 9 foot long. It sticks out the boat quite a ways. So anyway, as long as you keep these two pins touching the two sides of the spar, this was adjusted. So you can see as it goes down the line.
How good that's gonna
So I marked one side before, but right here now, as I take this corner off, the distance from that line to that line will be exactly that distance and exactly that distance. So, really cool little tool. It's probably get thrown away after after I mark these out, but it was very interesting. I thought you might enjoy kind of seeing how I come up with it. And you know, nothing to this I invented for sure. There's lots better explanations. Probably I've seen some really nice spar marking gauges made by others, nicer than this, but this will do what I need to do. So, anyways, so I'm going to mark all these out, and then we're going to take them to 8-sided and then 16-sided, and then haven't decided yet if I'm going to try to invent drum, you know, on a drill and turn a belt sander belt inside out and try to sand them, or if I'm just going to do it by hand, or how I'm going to do it. But I'm sure the process will be interesting when I get to it.
Yeah.
So that's next. Get these all marked out and then start planing the corners off and make some round spars. And hopefully by then I'll have the rest of the material I'm looking for my seats, and we can get started on the seats and floorboards and paint.
Oh my, what are you gonna do, Jenna?
What?
What are you gonna do in there?
Sail.
Sail?
You're ready to go sailing, aren't you? I am too. So anyways,
See you next time.
next time.
Bye.